right, so I'm Alexis Geisler, and I'm a Gold Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide. And today I wanted to talk about a topic that for me is actually really scary and something I know I need to get better at. So something that I wanted to share with others as well, which is prospecting. So one of the questions that people get asked in the beginning or think about in the beginning is, how do I make money in network marketing? Is it really a thing? Can I actually do it? And the answer is yes, and there's several ways. We listened to a call the other day with Laura Clow, and I really liked how she had broken down the different types of activity to generate income in network marketing. So one of the things that she talked about was some activities that are really important to growing your business, but are not IPA or an income producing activity. So positive affirmations are really important in keeping yourself motivated, certainly, especially if things are slow. Like they have been this summer for me. Writing down your goals and putting them where you can see them is really important. And personal development opportunities, reading books, listening to podcasts, etc., are all really important, but they're not income producing activities. There's some income producing activities that are passive. So these give you great reach, but they're not going to give you the same return on results as prospecting will. And so these are things like posting on social media. We know it's really important. This is how you get your marketing out. You talk about the products, the opportunity, your successes, all of the things that you want a broad reach of people to hear, you talk about on social media. It's also important to interact with friends and family on social media so that you show up more in their news feeds and they feel like you are connecting with them on a deeper level. But this is, again, a passive way to approach IPA. What you really want to focus on is doing active IPA. So this is going to give you a great return on your activity. You want to be calling people on the phone. You want to be messaging them either through text messaging or Facebook Messenger, and hosting events where people can come and they can learn more. This can be in person or it can be online. These are active IPA. And we all have a limited amount of time in our day, but one of the things that Laura shared that I really liked is that 75% of your available time to spend on Plexus each day should be spent on active IPA. So if you only have 20 minutes to spend on Plexus tomorrow, 15 minutes of that should be contacting people and reaching out to people directly in a one-to-one basis and talking to them. That's where you should spend the bulk of your time, not in these areas here. So a lot of people, when they're starting out, are wondering, who do I contact? You'll hear us talk about a Franks list. And this is really just a way to help yourself categorize and think about different people to contact. So it stands for friends, relatives, acquaintances, neighbors, and kids' friends. And so friends is a pretty obvious one. It's people you interact with on a daily basis. This is a really easy way to go through your Instagram account, your Facebook account, and write down people that are in there. If they're in your Facebook friend list, then you can put them as a friend here. Relatives, again, it's pretty self-explanatory, but really think about who are all of the relatives you could reach out to. It doesn't just have to be to immediate ones. It could be second cousins. It could be people that are like an aunt to you. Put those on the list. For acquaintances, you want to think about who are your colleagues at work? Who do you interact with that maybe they're not close enough to be in your Facebook feed right now, or they're just people you see occasionally. I mean, it could be the dry cleaner. If you go to the dry cleaner once a week, there's no reason that you can't approach them about Plexus sometime. Neighbors, think about who's around you. It's great to get to know your neighbors for a variety of reasons, but it's even better to know them for your Plexus business. You can talk to them about their kids, their yard, anything that you want as an opener, and then you can start to talk about, what do you do for a living? And then you can share what you do. And then kids' friends. So friends of friends, your kids, you meet people that your kids play with each other, you meet the parents, and you can start to build a relationship with those people. And if you don't have kids, it can be with pet parents. If you're out and you go to a dog park regularly, it can be anyone who's in your outer circle. Another one I like to think about with that is my husband's friends. So who can I tag him or have him help me reach out to that they might be able to be added to my list? So once you make your Franks list, You might say, how do I keep track of it? It's really important to have some sort of mechanism for tracking your entire list and then when you're reaching out to those people. So I created this tracker that I use, and this is a file I'll share after the call and the links. You can do it in a notebook, you can do it through an app on your phone, you can do it anyway, but I like the fact that I can put the name, I can put the issue that I think they have or I know they have, so it might be that they have stomach issues, it might be that I think they really need the income opportunity, and then I'm gonna put a date each time I contact them and what the response is. The right response might be that they ignored me, or it might be that they said no, or it might be that, you know, they said, oh, I'm interested in hearing more. You'll notice that I have space for 10 contacts. It could go even further than that. Very rarely do people contact you and say yes after the first contact. And we'll talk about those statistics in a second. But so, you know, one of my team members, it took me 7 months of following up with her to get her to say yes. Someone else on my team watched me for a year. I never reached out to her until I finally did have a conversation with her. And she's like, you know what, I've been thinking about trying it and I want to try. So it just shows that if I had reached out, maybe she would have started sooner than a year, but it takes time. So you want to make sure that you're keeping track of when you contact people and you're following up on a regular basis. All right, so you've got your list and now you're keeping track. Am I annoying people? This is something that we all get really self-conscious about, myself included. I don't want to annoy people. I don't want to turn them off. I don't want them to not be friends with me anymore. But think about these statistics that they share. First of all, 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. I've watched videos on this, and it's happened to people that I know as well, where I've got a mutual friend and I've been thinking about that they would be great for Plexus. I don't approach them, and next thing I know, they are doing it, and they're doing it with someone else. And that is just shame on me. I should have been more proactive and gone after them right away. But if I drop down to the bottom statistic, I think this is a really important one. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. So if you give up before that, you're giving up before you're more likely to be reaching those people and getting a yes. So do not give up. It's very important to keep on going. Again, it can take 7 months, it can take a year, but don't ever turn someone off of your list until they've definitively said no. And even then, there's ways to go back to them later when we launch a new product or something like that. So I only take people off my list once they've become a customer or they join my team. So now we've made our list. We're feeling comfortable that we're going to contact people. And again, it goes back to that same thing of like, I don't want to bug people and talk to them about Plexus. And one of the things that I've really had to personally overcome was a mindset shift. So it wasn't, who am I going to talk to about with Plexus about today? It was, who can I connect with today? Who am I going to personally reach out to? And who am I going to really just see how they're doing? See how I can help them? See what's going on in their life. To me, this has made it a lot easier for me to reach out and approach people when I was really hesitant and afraid to before. And I was afraid of rejection. And I think that's what most people are afraid of, or I was afraid that it was going to change our relationship. And if you just think about who am I going to connect with today, I would never wake up and be like, ooh, I don't know if Kathy wants to just hear how I'm doing and, you know, if she's going to be bothered if I ask how she's doing. I mean, that would never even cross your mind. So start with those kinds of thoughts and it makes it a lot easier. All right, so you've got your list and you've got, you know, at least 100 people on it is always our goal, and you're looking at it and it feels overwhelming. But it doesn't have to be, because you can really simply follow the 5-3-1 method. And that's something, if you do it every day, it's simple. You can do it within that 75% of the time that you have, and it can be done in an organized fashion. So what does the 5-3-1 method mean? 5 is reaching out to 5 new people. So take a look at your list and figure out who are the 5 people you're going to reach out to today that you've never talked to about with Plexus before. Now, you have to kind of gauge what is your relationship with those 5 people. So if I haven't talked to this person in, say, a year, but they just happen to be on my Facebook friend list, I should not jump right in and be like, hey, do you want to buy some Plexus for me? Because they're likely going to ignore me or say no. So sometimes those first, second, and third contacts are about rebuilding a relationship or building one if you've just met the person. So it's going to be talking about what's been on their page recently. What do you know about them? Just being a friend. That's really sometimes what a lot of my first contacts are. Then if you've talked to someone, it's your best friend, you talk to her all the time, that's when your first contact about Plexus can be truly about Plexus. And we're going to talk about what that might look like here in a minute. The 3 is following up with 3 people from your Franks list. So you're going to go back, and in those slots where you had, who have I contacted and when, you're going to figure out, who do I need to follow up with? This could be people that, again, you've only been just having that personal one-to-one relationship with, and now maybe you're ready to talk about Plexus, or just check in with them and see, if they knew they had a big doctor's appointment, seeing how it went, things like that. It's also following up with people that said, oh, I'm interested in more information, and then you never heard from them again. So it's really about following up with people on that list that you've already made at least one contact with. And then the 1 is training a team member or customer. So, when we are starting out, our teams aren't very big, or we may not have a team member yet. So if you do have team members, take the time to train them. Check in. How are they doing? Have a coaching call. Do they need help achieving their goals? There's a whole host of things that you could check in with them about. If you don't have a team member, or you have more days in the month than you have team members, I like to check in with people that are my customers. Now, this is not the same as a check-in of how are you doing on the products? Do I need to adjust anything? That should be happening regularly, regardless of the 531 process. But I really like to use this 1 slot as, is there a new product I want to share with them? Hey, you've been loving the Triplex. It's so awesome. I think you'd really like our X Factor. It's got great absorption. And then you go on to talk to them about that product, because now maybe you can upsell them into trying something else. So you've got your list, you've made your list, you have got it set up in the tracker, you've figured out who you're going to reach out to on your 531. And I actually have a tracker that I do for 531 where I plan it for the whole month, and that's something else I'll share. You don't have to plan it for the whole month. You can just pick those people that day, but I like to plan ahead, and then I just crossed off like a to-do list. So now I've got the people that I'm going to reach out to. What am I going to say to them? This is the part that is really, really hard. And there's not one right or wrong answer. There's 1,000 ways that you could reach out to someone. The general principle is to make it very personal, make it informal, and make it informative, and have a time action on it. So the first one is my friend Sally. Maybe I think that I haven't talked to her about Plexus yet. She's on my Facebook page, so unless she's blocked me, she surely sees me post about Plexus. But I know she's got some stomach issues because she's complaining about it all the time. So I may reach out, and this assumes that Sally and I have connected and we've talked in the recent past, and say, hey, Sally, I loved seeing your family's vacation pictures this summer. So that's the personal part. So as you know, I'm in love with how I feel on these supplements I've been taking. I'd love to share Plexus with you because I really think it could help your stomach issues. So this isn't about me trying to make money or sell her a product. It's about me trying to help her with something that I know that she's struggling with. Are you free tomorrow around noon? So it's not, just an open-ended, let me send you information. It's about, I want to talk about it. Let's set a deadline and let's meet. You're more likely to get a commitment out of someone if you are setting time frames. This is true with incentives. This is true with meetings, anything that you reach out where you want to do a follow-up. In the second bubble, I've got an example of what it might be like if you think someone's is a really good friend of yours and you want them to join your team. So in this one, I said, okay, Amy, when are you going to join me on this Plexus journey so we can have fun and go to Hawaii together? So this assumes Amy and I have probably already talked about Plexus. I for sure know she knows that I'm doing Plexus. And I just want to really get her excited and to join me about the business. And then I end it with saying, people love talking to you and you'd be great for this business. So it's about, maybe she needs help getting that self-confidence that she really could do this and that this is something that she would be good at. So connecting it to a personality trait that they have is a great way to kind of intrigue them and help them feel better about taking the next step. And then the last one that I gave is just an example of, a person who said, maybe not right now, but check back with me. And so now this would be a follow-up. So this would be one of the three. So, hey, I know Natalie mentioned Plexus to you before, and you weren't sure and it wasn't the right time, but my husband and I were thinking about who would be a great team member, and he always mentions you. And I just know how much he respects your relationship skills and truly admires your sales skills. Let's talk tomorrow. So again, it's recapping the conversation. You're acknowledging that they had said not right now, but you're really kind of nudging them forward in the process. Again, they may take 5 more times to even consider your request and say yes or let's talk more, but you want to kind of just keep nudging them down the field little by little. And one of the things that I suggest that I don't think we talk about enough, and I think is something I'd like to start doing more with some of you guys, is role playing. So there was a perfect opportunity that I blew this week. Yesterday we went and met a new doctor for my husband, and the woman was asking him what medications he takes, and he was going through the list, and then he talked about the probiotic, and she was like, oh, I'll have to look it up in the system, what's the brand? And he said Plexus. She's like, oh, I've never heard of that. And so she asked me to spell it out. And he talked about the Omega X product, and she wanted to know which Omegas were in it. And I had a brochure, and I should have just given her the brochure and said, oh, it's great. It's awesome line. Here's more information. I actually can give you more information if you ever want to know personally. I wish I would have said it. I blew the chance. And so in the future, I'm going to plan ahead, knowing when there's an opportunity I might get. I'm going to plan ahead of what I'm going to say. I tend to freeze in the moment. It's really hard for me. There's all kinds of natural opportunities to bring up these products that I'm always like, ooh, I wish I would have done that. So that's something I really encourage people to do, is role play with someone else that maybe you're close with, or your power partner, or your upline, and just, okay, I know I've got this doctor appointment that I'm going to. Let me go ahead and figure out what to do. And you're right, I should go back and give the brochure, and I will be in contact with this person again. So next time I go, I'm going to take it and be like, hey, last time you asked about Plexus, I wanted to give you this brochure as a follow-up. That's a great idea, because then I'm always like, oh, I missed the opportunity, but I haven't. You're right. I'm going to see her again, so now I can give her the brochure. All right, so you've got your list, your Frank's list of at least 100 people. You've got it all set up in a system where you can track it. And then you are getting ready with your 5-3-1. You know who you're going to reach out to, and now you're more comfortable with what you're going to say. So this was just a recap of what we just talked about, and I would like to open it up for any questions you have. But at the end of the day, if you only have got a short amount of time to spend on Plexus, spend it on prospecting, because that is going to be what pushes your business forward and helps you reach to the diamond level.